Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of Philly Unfiltered. We are live in the 215. And thank y'all for joining us for another awesome episode tonight. For our first comers, just to repeat and reiterate why we are here, we are a group of unapologetically opinionated people. We are unpolitically correct, meaning we don't need any politicians admission that what we are saying is correct, because these are just our opinions, but we leave resources and we drop a lot of jewels and seeds, and we do it all respectfully. So guys, before we start, I hope you guys seen the flyer, because we have an awesome show. And also, as y'all know, Doc always comes through with the awesome opening songs. So here is our first, as we let everybody come in. I hope y'all enjoy, and we will see y'all in a second.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America.
All right, y'all. Y'all know we can't do too long, because Facebook is that is America the Beautiful by the great Ray Charles. Hey y'all. We back and we black. We brown and we around. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for watching. We hope everybody stays tuned in. And again, if I'm looking away, y'all know that I am trying to share awesome posts to let everybody know that we are here. I am your host with the most, in case y'all don't know, Miss Petite Picasso Bars, now better known as Miss Philly Unfiltered. Hey y'all. And I got co-host, a guy full of wisdom and bars, Doc E, in the place to be. How you, Doc?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. We about to get this party started, y'all. Excuse me. If you guys didn't see the flyer, and if y'all are true fans of Philly Unfiltered, y'all know we have different things that we speak about. And one of the things and one of the reasons why we started Philly Unfiltered was for voting. Just to give the voter education. And Doc speaks so much about just knowing who your city council people are, just knowing the people that we're voting for, the people that want to run. We need to talk to them and see what their mission is for running, all of those things. So tonight we have a professor in the house that is considering running for U.S. Senate. So this is going to be an awesome conversation. Doc know everybody. Okay, Doc knows a lot of important people. Don't let Doc fool y'all, okay? Because Doc, he's very modest and he's very cool. But Doc knows some really important cats out here, okay? Don't let him tell you nothing different. So again, this is one of Doc's awesome friends, our guest that's coming on today. So we're going to get right into it, y'all. And y'all know what we do to start it off. It is your spirit check with your girl, Petite Picasso. That is me, y'all. And my spirit is not. If y'all can see it in my face. I know y'all can see it in my face. I'm not myself today. I've had a headache all day long. I've been in pain all day. And that's gonna be another segment I want to do. I was going to ask Doc to do an interview for me, and just talk about me having Crohn's disease and my daily the struggles that I go through. And today was trying to be a bad day for me. And the pain is a bit much. So if it's showing on my face, y'all, that's what's happening. But I'm gonna keep smiling and I'm gonna keep pushing. So but my spirit is I'm here. Yeah. So as always, y'all leave your spirit checks in the comments. Doc, how's your spirit tonight?
I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're here for the show. And if you're all right, I'm all right. That's kind of just how it go. We Batman and Robin. That's kind of what we do. We swing it together.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't have or ask for a better co-host than Doc. Y'all know that I love me some Doc
Mm.
E. So guys, we're gonna get through these two segments really fast so we can get into this great interview. So y'all know what comes after that awesome spirit check. What happens? It is the news you can use with Doc E. Doc, it's your time. Take it away.
All right, the news you can use. I talked about this on Tuesday that New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy announced he was going to shut down the only women's prison uh, because there had been some allegations and accusations of some violations of women at that prison by men. Well, since then, New Jersey's Embattled Correction Commissioner announced his resignation on Tuesday, a day after Governor Phil Murphy said the state would shut down its trouble and only women's prison. Hicks, the corrections commissioner's name is Maurice Hicks. He will leave office June 18th. He defended his tenure, noting that he had added body cameras at the prison, hired more women on staff, but he will be leaving on June 18th. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, this touches on a topic that we've talked about on this show, dealing with autism. Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice is working to change court proceedings for people with special needs. Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice Kevin Doherty said the first time someone with autism came through his courtroom years ago in Philadelphia, the experience changed him. He took a long, hard look at how cases for people with special needs were handled. And he went on to say, I thought I was a forward-thinking judge, but here I have before me an individual whose life is in my hands, and I wasn't aware of his total story. It was like a punch in the gut. So this is something that's going to be changed. We talked about autism on the show, and this is a judge basically trying to change the way the court system deals with people with special needs. Next up, our district attorney, Larry Krasner, will hold 4 town meetings on public safety, criminal justice reform. They'll be take place across the city. The topics of the 4 town halls will be public safety, criminal justice reform. This comes as the city's homicide rate has climbed to 228. That's a 30% increase from last year. The first town hall will take place on June 14th at the Church of Compassion in Combs Creek. One of our former police commissioners did something similar right after he was hired. Craig Ramsey or Charles Ramsey, right under another administration. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep abreast. Our DA is coming to your community to talk about some of these issues. Please show up, show out, speak to him, let him know what the issues and the concerns are. Because once again, these are our elected officials that we put in office, and they work for us. Recently, there was a police officer caught deleting a video from a young man's cell phone. Police officer Tyree Burnett at a traffic stop was trying to pull the suspect Edwards out of his car. In the process, he dropped his phone, and the body cam caught the police officer basically taking his phone and deleting the video. As if COVID and the shootings and murders in Philadelphia are not enough, overdose deaths in Philadelphia reached its second highest number ever recorded in 2020. In Philly, they're saying that 1,214 people have died from drug overdoses in Philadelphia. An overwhelming majority, 81% of those deaths, involve fentanyl. City of Philadelphia is opening up, but the 54 libraries are still closed. 26 of the public libraries are closed. Ladies and gentlemen, if you love your children, you really love your children, really love your children. A woman in Africa has reportedly given birth to 10 babies in what seems to be a new world record. The previous record was 8, she just had 10. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the news you can use.
Why?
Somebody shut the door.
Wait, let me end this properly. Then oh God.
You were saying, Andrea?
That was the news you could use with Doc. Why she got 10 of them? Why would she do that? Why?
7 boys and 3 girls.
More power
She's,
to more
she
power.
says she's happy, she's emotional, but she can't talk much.
Okay, well, listen, more power to her. That's children are a blessing. Okay,
That's a bunch of blessings.
that's a lot of blessings. You know, Lord, I thank you for these two. You know, these two blessings. I'm
Absolutely.
not greedy. I'm not a greedy person, Lord.
Mhm.
I'm very,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm very humbled with my two. Thank you.
All right.
You know, because they told me I couldn't even have the one. So the second
Mhm.
one was a bonus. So that's crazy. She wilding. So guys, really quick before we get into this interview, because we're just going to do this whole interview. We're not, after we're done, then we're going to shut it down. So we're going to do these events. We have a couple of events coming up, you guys, for our community superheroes and sheroes. So we're going to go through those really, really quickly. And first up to bat is my sister, Simone Crump. So the Crump Agency is having Streams and Dreams pop-up shop and networking event. This is July 17th. Okay. Also, guys, remember these flyers will be on the Philly Unfiltered page. If you want to go back and get the information, write it down and put it on your calendar. So again, this is a pop-up shop networking event. If you have a business, small, medium, or large, this is a great opportunity to get yourself out there. And I believe this is going to be in Lansdowne. Okay, so our Philly people, if y'all got cars, let's make our way out to Lansdowne. Check out that flyer on the page so you can RSVP and register, do whatever you need to do for that. And is it the Queens is doing it already? Next up, we got Miss Tiana Brown. She was also a guest on our show. She is an author of the book Please Don't Touch Me There. So Miss Tiana Brown is having a pop-up art gallery. And it is free entry. It is Sunday, June 27th from 2 to 6. It is at Our House Culture Center at 6380 Germantown Avenue. So if you're from G-Town, y'all might know where that is. Again, guys, all of these flyers will be on the Philly Unfiltered page. My sister, again, Streams and Dreams pop-up shop, same thing, networking event July 17th, 26 North Lansdowne Avenue. Please check our page for these events. I'm pretty sure you guys saw this one before. Cold Blue presents the Celebrity Lookalike Party and Fundraiser. This one is July 10th. It's in Darby Township Firehouse. The tickets are $15, ages 8 to 14. That is another event coming up next month, you guys. Please check these people out on the Philly Unfiltered page and put the save the date on your calendar. This is Salon Conversation Series, Bold and Creatives Collective.com. I do not know how to say this gentleman's name, and so I'm not even going to mess it up. Okay, and this one was on the 10th, so we have to take that off. It's not, it's today. That one is for today. So, moving right along, Juneteenth Festival, guys, June 19th, 2021, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is at Stenton Museum, Keepers of the Culture, Inc. I'm squinting because I do not have on my glasses. Please don't talk about me. This is at Stenton Park, 4600 North 16th Street. This one, again, is June the 19th, guys. So that's coming up. Next up, Art by African Americans, another Juneteenth celebration. It is Juneteenth weekend. It's the 36th annual Philadelphia Art Show and Sale. It is June 18th, 19th, and 20th, guys. So y'all got 3 days. Okay? 3 days to go check out some Black art. All those things are beautiful. I don't have my glasses on. Philly Unfiltered page. Freedom Library, guys. Doc just mentioned something about the library. June 19th through July 4th.
That's Welcome America.
Welcome America.
Event.
Yes, that's another event from June 19th through July 14th. We have the post 2021 primary election discussion Saturday, June 12th from 10:30 a.m. You must RSVP. This is the email address of the person that you have to contact. Again, guys, all of these things will be on the Philly Unfiltered page. Just a reminder for August, our good friend Mr. Stanley Browning is having a student formula, the journey from middle school to high school. This is $20. This is via Zoom, for fuel and motivation. This is an awesome young brother. He does a lot of speaking in schools. A lot of people is calling for him. He gave us a shout out, Doc, on Facebook. I'm like, what did we do? We didn't do anything. So shout out to you, Stanley, with all of your successes and everything that's happening with you. Again, guys, another Juneteenth event. It's a Black Wall Street pop-up June 19th from 3 to 7, 2900 Liberty Heights Avenue. This is in Baltimore, guys. So listen, we have events everywhere. Okay. Adam McNeil, our guy, he has his girls' night. He's always doing so many things for single moms. So again, guys, please just go on the site, check these things out. On July 10th, he's having a late night fashion show. He's seeking Philly-based clothing designers to be a part of the show. So he's looking for at least 6 artists. So guys, Adam he does so many good things. So get to him as fast as you can. Also, a vendor registration is open for his 3-year anniversary pop-up shop, June 17th. That's also coming up. So please contact Mr. Adam McNeil for that. We have a Father's Day cookout led by Anthony Baker Jr. He's also doing a Father's Day giveaway. So please go check out Mr. Anthony Baker Jr. He's he is the owner of Helping the Homeless. And also this event is tomorrow, guys. It is tomorrow. This was supposed to be earlier in the month, but it was changed. So it is happening tomorrow on Erie Avenue. Black Power Matters rally. The war on poverty is the first order of business. It is tomorrow at Broughton Erie in front of the Old Checkers. They're giving out food. Unincarcerated minds are doing a food distribution from 1 to 3, and the rally is from 3 to 6. So guys, please go check that out. And those are all of the events. So before we get into this interview, all of these comments, shout out to Miss Mecca G's. Thank you for coming. We love you so much. And thank you for all of the resources that you continue to share and people that you sent to us to be a part of the show. Miss Anisha Benelli, thank you for coming so much. Also, I'm sorry, Anisha, one more thing. Let me take your comment. And I'm glad she's here so she can elaborate, and it's not even giving me the full thing. It is I want to put the link up. I believe it's an organization. They are looking for donations. Okay, so nope, it is called melanated mayonnaise. You're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce that. It is a group of melanated princesses from the ages of 11 to 18. This is their charity that they've put together, and they're looking for people to donate. I'm about to copy and paste this link to go with that picture, you guys. I'm about to put it right here in the comments, and we're going to try and get Miss Anisha Benelli to come on and elaborate on that a little bit more. So, we're always trying to support, and these babies, y'all. They are babies starting a charity, and we always want to support. If it's just sharing their flyer, that's support. If you got $1, send them $1. All money matters. So thank you so much. You're very, very welcome, Anisha. So guys, like we said, one of the reasons why we started this podcast was around voting time, and we wanted our community and our Black people to understand the importance of voting. Excuse me, because we tend to have that stigma that our votes don't matter, our voices don't matter, things like that. So like I told y'all, Doc knows so many important people. So tonight we actually have a professor who is considering running for the U.S. Senate. So tonight we thought maybe we give him some reasons to be a part of it. Maybe he could be that one person to really open the door for us and let us in to make that change and get the things that we need, as a community. And if he does, and then my Black people, we have to do the work that comes with it. We can't just leave it up to the people that we vote for, we have to do the counterpart and actually do the work that we can from our own community. So, because this is one of Doc's awesome friends, we are going to let Doc do the introduction. I'm going to do my technician part and give him his round of applause before he comes on. So, Doc, I'm going to put you full screen and you can take it away.
Thank you much. Thank you much. One of the reasons I picked the opening song for America the Beautiful by Ray Charles is because that's kind of the one patriotic song that kind of unifies a lot of people. And Ray Charles was actually here in Philadelphia to open up the National Constitution Center, which is at 6 and Orange in 2003. And I think within the last couple of years, we've seen kind of the best and the worst of America and what could possibly happen. And as always, I've always stressed the importance of voting. I've done my best to kind of bring the issues to the forefront so we have better educated voters. My thing is, I don't care who you vote for, but please, please do your homework. And for all those that think, your vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter, you have seen in the last couple of years the importance of voting. We've seen the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We've seen the power of voting in Georgia with the election of 2 Democratic senators. We see how people showed up and showed out to get Philly District Attorney Larry Krasner, reelected at that point. So voter education is what we do. We will continue to do. And I want to say a special thanks to my buddy Todd Hart, who kind of informed me about Eric Ortz and his story. And I think I attended at least one Zoom call as far as the exploratory committee to kind of talk about his possible run and what need to be done and their strategy planning, things of that nature. So he was more than willing to kind of come on the show. So we finally got him on the show, and he is here to share his story with us tonight. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Ortz, Wharton professor at University of Penn, considering run for the United States Senate in 2022. So let's give him a round of applause as we bring him on and begin the interview.
Hey, that's the loudest crowd I've heard yet.
Well, it's only going to get louder. I'm quite sure. It's only going to get louder. Eric, if you don't mind, could you share a little bit about your background and the work that you've done at University of Penn?
Yeah, sure. So I've been at the Wharton School about 30 years now, and I've been teaching in the Legal Studies and Business Ethics department. One of my main areas of interest, really since 1992, when I went to Brazil for the Earth Summit, has been sustainability. So I mostly have focused on business and legal issues regarding sustainability. And one of the main reasons I'm interested in thinking about politics is that we really need to do something on climate. It's one of the top priorities. I think the other priority, and this links right into what you were talking about in the purpose of the show, and I want to say also I'm just immensely impressed first by your news segments and then also by the series of community events. It's such an important grassroots function that you all are playing, and I just want to compliment you on that. But the focus on voting is really the other major interest that I'm feeling compelled to run. And to take a leave of absence, which is now almost certain that I'm going to be moving forward with that and running for office. And the main reason there is that I see this as one of the most perilous times since Reconstruction in our country. Talking about voting, we see many states now taking advantage of lax Supreme Court decisions, as well as gerrymandering and other kinds of problems that we see in different states, including in Pennsylvania, and enacting voting suppression laws. And what I see as the way to stop that is that we elect a decisive majority in the Senate who will enact the laws to stop all the states from doing this. So that's kind of, if you want to know more about me, those are my issues. That's why I'm running. But feel free to ask other questions if you want to.
Right. Most of the information I've been kind of, looking for, the website and information that you've sent me. And you have one quote where it says, "I'm seriously considering running for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania because we need a candidate with an independent vision to lead beyond our division. Could you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I really think that there is too much polarization and there's too much groupthink in different places. So it happens a little. It happens in the Democratic Party. I've been a member of the Democratic Party my whole life. I think we can get into some groupthink tendencies in the Democratic Party, and we can stop reaching out to people who are maybe independent or in the middle, and continue to have conversations with them. And it's certainly even worse happening in the Republican Party, where you really see a groupthink of us versus them, friends versus enemies. And that is just the worst kind of political situation, because we can't work together. We can't have a democracy if we treat each other as friends and enemies.
Did the 2016 election have any focus or impact on your decision for running around?
Yeah, it was really decisive. I mean, for me, the election of Trump was probably there's no doubt, it was the worst political event that I've ever experienced in my life. Because I saw Trump, and I think this is still the case. We are in danger of losing our democracy. So the progress that we have made, the progress that many people have made over many years to improve the democracy over time. It's not been perfect. It's not perfect now. But the threat of Trump is that we will lose our democracy and we'll have a totalitarian government. We'll have a tyrant. So yes, and that's really where I said, well, I'm doing my writing, I'm doing my teaching, I'm doing a book about how we should have a good democracy and how we should regulate business. And then you realize, wait a second, this guy's throwing the whole system out. So yeah, I felt like I had to do my part.
Sure. And you talked about, the polarization, of this country. And I always said everybody was talking about, Trump and the time he was running and, eventually winning the election, that, Trump is just one man. His minions are still out there, and we've seen them, and they're not going to go away quietly. So the polarization in the nation, in Congress, we saw that as well. And then in Pennsylvania, how do we attempt to kind of bridge or kind of piece it back together?
Well, I think we have to call out what it is. I think you're absolutely right. It's not just one man. We have one man that's very good about revving everybody up, but why are they getting revving up? I see him as calling back the ghosts of the Confederacy, right? That's what he's calling out the racism that is still within the hearts of too many people. A lot of people don't even know they're racist, right? And he's calling out the worst in people. And the problem is that by him doing that, other people are following that, and we have the rise of white supremacist terrorists. We have this expansion of everyone has to get a gun, and it's a virus. The COVID virus is not maybe the worst one that we've had to face, right? We have this virus of racism and intolerance that I think we have to stop. The only way to stop it is to decisively win politically.
Right. I don't want to go into a little bit more on that because we got a lot to cover. So from my understanding, I think they're running for the same seats that you're going for, the U.S. Senate seat. I counted 6 Democrats, 6 Republicans, and 7 other Republicans that may be running. So as a professor, maybe someone that hasn't, or if you have not held an elected office, how do you rise above and through the pack to win that seat?
Well, I think the first thing I can point out is that I'm not an established politician who is part of the club that is just kind of reaching for the next rung on the ladder to jump up to the next thing and feel good about themselves. So that's not. I don't need to do that. The reason I'm doing it is to tear down the ladder. We have a broken Senate. The Senate is fundamentally broken, and we need someone, whether it's me or whoever else you want to pick. You're right. There's going to be a number of people, and my recommendation is that you look at all the different people, and you say, who's going to shake things up? Who's going to make things a little bit different? Because right now, the Senate is fundamentally broken, and we got to get rid of the filibuster, for example. We have to start passing legislation for racial justice, for voting rights, for gun regulation, for climate. So that's why I'm in this. Is I think I have some ideas of how we can fix the Senate. We can get rid of the seniority rule, some stuff, those kinds of arguments. And so that's the main reason, I think. And one other answer to your question of how we're going to distinguish ourselves, as I mentioned, I've been in the climate area my whole career, and I do not think we can wait on the climate issue. And it is a environmental justice issue. It is a survival issue of our children and our grandchildren. So that's how I really feel motivated to get into this. And I think I'm going to show people that I'm the person who is going to have the best argument that I'm going to get something done on climate and to fix the Senate.
Right. Now, in your decision to run, is there a deadline in which you have to make that? That you have to, I guess, let the Democratic Party know, or that you're going to actually run?
I'm basically I'm at a phase where we have brought on a very high level. He's not under contract yet, but so I won't mention his name. But we have a high level political consultant. I'm moving forward with hiring a campaign manager. So my leave of absence is coming up. I'm not allowed to declare for office. A lot of people are already jumping in the race. I'm not allowed to while I'm still a professor. So we are moving forward, and then so we're very shortly we'll make a final decision on that.
Gotcha. I'm going to pause on the questions right now because we got a lot of people writing in comments. They may have questions.
Oh, good.
So we're going to get to some of those, and some of those things. Feel free to answer. Some of it we may get to a little bit more later in the interview. What you got, Andrea? What are people saying? What do they want?
They're saying a few things, and I was writing some things down. I had took myself out of the studio because I do have a couple questions of my own, and there's a lot of things that I like that you touched on, Mr. Eric, that I think these are certain words that need to be said, and to everybody that's watching, even if he's not running, you know what I mean? We never know the resources that he might have to, for us to get what we need into the Senate, or maybe we can give it to him and he can, bring it to their attention. However it goes, it's a circle of life, because everybody's lives depends on this, and it's the power of networking. You know what I mean? So we are definitely going to get into some of these comments, and guys, because I see it's a few comments from YouTube. So to our YouTube guests, just in case you didn't know the I don't want to call them rules, but we'll say that we do everything respectfully here. And I would hate to block anybody. So I'm going to take these comments and I'll say you have purpose behind your comments. So guys, if you are offended by these comments, I personally apologize. But one thing that we do here, it's unfiltered for a reason. We show everybody their respect, their opinions. It's their opinion. We respect everybody's opinion. Keyword respectfully. So, okay. And I have a question for this person because I'm a little confused if you're a Trump supporter or you just, So, this young man right here, he says, deport the Chinese virus, Ryan Lee Nugent, out of America, and I don't know this word here. We had enough of these Democrats. We support Trump now. So usually when I say we, I mean as a collective. So I take it as though you're a friendly Trump supporter, and that's fine. You got every right to support everybody that you want to support. But when I say respectfully, we don't call people a Chinese virus. We don't do that.
And just to be clear, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I don't think Eric is a Trump supporter.
Absolutely not. I'm an opponent. I've been an opponent of Trump since the beginning, and thank you for pointing that. I support 100% what Miss Philly Unfiltered just said is that there's no place for intolerance. There's no place for anti-Asian violence or any other kind of bigotry. And my own view is that Trump is actually promoting that kind of thing. So I'm an opponent of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I can see the person's comment. I can see the comment because we've seen all the pushback from Black Lives Matter, the protests, and it seems like nothing has been done to address a lot of the issues that directly affect or that African Americans are really concerned about: police brutality, criminal justice reform. And then there's an attack on an Asian woman, and all of a sudden there's all this aid and all this protection. These things kind of almost get done, almost not immediately, but you start hearing a lot more that there are movement in that area, but nothing as far as people of color, what's been done. I think that's pretty much also, I think, one of the comments that the person was making as well.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this, the only reason why I even addressed any of his comments, because he makes valid points, but he also has his own opinion. So I absolutely respect your opinion, and I respect your points, because one of the comments that he put up: 1 year and Asian immigrants get law regulations, Black Americans get zero, not even a bill. I respect that comment, because we've had a conversation about that. We've had a conversation about that because they did, when the Asian attack started, they got a bill.
Right.
Black people, we still waiting on certain bills to even be acknowledged, let alone, go through the whole process, but to even be acknowledged. So I do respect that comment. So, we kind of, I'll pick and choose anything that I want, from this gentleman. So we're going to move on. And thank you again, sir, for coming and tuning in from YouTube. Again, we respect everybody's comments. Ashley Thomas wanted to know, what are the key issues do you think need to be addressed within our communities? That's a great question, Ashley. And thank you for coming, Ashley.
Yeah, well, I think the key issues that in our communities that have to be addressed are racial justice issues that we've been talking about, criminal justice issues. I supported Larry Krasner at the beginning, and I think everyone should come out and continue to engage, unlike Senator Pat Toomey, for example, who never shows up. He's immediately showing up to the community and engaging with the community and trying to solve these problems. But mostly, if you look at fundamentally what we need to address, it's economic opportunity and the inequality that we have from the educational system. So I think those are probably the two biggest problems. I think you have the result of increasing crime, and we do see a spike of violence, etc. But when you get down to the actual analysis of why is that happening, a lot of it, if not most of it, has to do with economic opportunity. Where are their jobs? Where is the education? What are people able to do? And if people are hopeless, they're desperate, they don't have any other opportunities, then it's easy to turn to crime, and it becomes violent. People go in the wrong direction. So those are two of the main issues. And then the last issue, and you started off in the news segment with the problem of opioids and overdoses. And there again, we really need to address that problem with universal health care rights and the ability of everyone to be treated, the available for everyone to have the possibility and to get help, rather than to treat it as a crime problem and to treat it as a problem that we need to put more people in prisons. Just because they fall victim to making some bad choices and becoming addicted. That's not the way to solve that kind of problem. So those are the few of the issues that I think we need to address in our communities.
Eric, one of the things that I'm kind of puzzled by is that it seems like, I think currently, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a Democratic president, Democratic vice president. The Congress is Democrat majority, House and Senate. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to why things are just taking so long to get through, because you would figure that is what you want. That's kind of like the perfect storm. You got a Democratic president, you got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
majority of Congress. This is the time to push, your agenda and your platform and everything that you ran on. But it just seems that things not moving as quickly. I mean,
You
I've
know, yep,
recently
yeah,
recently it was a 100th anniversary, it was a 1 year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. And Joe Biden invited the Floyd family to the White House. And watching this from the outside, I would come and ask them, well, what have you done within this year? Is there any legislation? Is there any bills? He signs a bunch of executive orders, but none of them really addressing the issues that we've seen needed within the past year and even way before then as well, for the systemic racism in this country.
yeah. Doc, that's exactly right. And so what we have as a problem, and this is why I'm running against the Senate system. It's the
Right.
Senate system because remember the Georgia victory was kind of came out of nowhere. We had thought we lost the Senate, and then we win 2 Senate seats in Georgia. We have 50 votes plus Kamala Harris as a tiebreaker. We won. And then the first thing that happened is that we were able to get through the COVID relief bill, right? On a 50 vote majority vote. That helped a huge number of people. Huge number of people got checks. The cities and the states have their budgets bailed out to some extent. But then what happened, and this is one problem that really people should understand, and it's one of my objectives is to try to explain to people that we won the Senate, but the Senate's fundamentally broken because they have a rule called the filibuster, the legislative filibuster, which means that the Republicans, even though they lost decisively because we have structural and frankly racist structure of the Senate. Right. And I've written about this. And if you go to my website, friendsofericortz.com, you'll see a clip that I had an interview with my colleague Herman Beavers with Oberlin College. And we talk about the racist structure of the Senate as it's developed. And the problem is, even though we have 50 votes, we have this old rule called the filibuster that comes from before the Civil War. John Calhoun, for 100 years after the Civil War, Southern senators used the filibuster to stop all of the civil rights laws. They almost even stopped the civil rights laws of 1964, of the 60s. And the reason is they have this self-imposed rule that says you have to have 60 votes to pass a law. Right. Nobody else has that. You don't have that in city council. You don't have that in any other legislature in the world that we know of, right? The rules should be majority rules. Right. And the Democrats have 50 votes plus Kamala Harris to break the tie, and they're not pushing it through. Now so that's why the Senate's a fundamental problem, because you're absolutely right. All these bills are ready to change the laws on voting rights. We have the John Lewis Voting Rights Act that is already passed by the House. It's sitting in front of the Senate. But because the Senate is unrepresentative, because it has a racist structure, and I show this in an article that I wrote called Senate Democracy. It's a racist structure that I believe is unconstitutional under the Voting Rights Amendments. And that's why we have to change the structure of the Senate. We have to make it work by a majority rule again, which is the way the founders thought it was supposed to work, instead of minority government. That's essentially, we have the Republicans stopping things by a minority rule. Right.
And what we're also seeing is that, as for example, in Georgia, where we won those 2 Senate seats, but they have a Republican government.
Yep.
So therefore, they're just kind of squashed, and it's like 2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards. We've been seeing how the Republicans are kind of doing things for voter suppression, changing the laws that basically, whenever Republicans lose office, what they do is they start changing the rules, start changing the laws to their advantage.
Exactly.
Eric,
go ahead. Sorry. No, it's a repeat. Just a quick. It's a repeat performance, right? That's what we had after Reconstruction. We had Reconstruction, and we had black members of the Senate. We had black members of the House. And then what happened? You allowed the white supremacists to come back, take control of the state legislatures, And the northern whites were saying, we're kind of tired of the Civil War. Let's let Mississippi go back to the way it were. So that's and unfortunately we have seen this play before in our history, which is why we all have to come together and fight again to stop this, because it's a white supremacist takeover in the states, and we got to stop them.
So, Doc, before you get to your next question, because I know they see my eyes moving, my body language changing, because these are the things that you and I talk about. And I was smiling because I looked at your name, Doc E, and it's like, hey, Mr. Eric Ortz is a Professor Doc. So
you got two professors.
I'd use that name, but it's already taken. I can't take that.
I just thought about that. That was so awesome. But this is for my community people. Listen, I'm so tired of y'all hearing about the white man holding y'all back. Okay? And y'all can say, I don't care what y'all about to say about what I'm saying. You have a man that is not of your race, okay, would do that, because white is a color, is a crayon color, black is a crayon color. Saying to you that us, 1, 2, 3, that's on the screen, have to come together as a collective to make it change. We can make it change. Everybody's not against us, but we so against each other that we don't see that. We have to come together. We are stronger in numbers. So, Mr. Eric, I thank you so much for saying that. Like, I just had to get that off my spirit. Go ahead, Doc, because I was about to explode.
Yeah, and one of the things there, if I could just add one thing and just agree with you entirely, is that we look in history, and that's exactly what the other side wants to do. They want to divide. And if you look at right after Reconstruction, who did they want to divide? They want to divide the fusion parties, where there were white and black together who had power in the South. And so that's a tactic to divide us that we have to really resist, because we cannot win a majority if we're going to fight each other. That's what the other side wants us to do.
And that's the gem dropped. Go ahead, Doc.
Absolutely. Eric, I just want to kind of, I just want to replay minus COVID last year. You had the protests coming out of the murder of George Floyd, and a photograph of the Capitol and the security they had. If you would have showed that picture to me, not knowing what was going on, I would have felt that they had gotten word that we were going to be hit by another 9/11, the way they had protected the Capitol.
Yeah.
Fast forward to June 6th, we have the Capitol insurrection, where they are storming the Capitol and basically holding the door like right this way. There's a story of Maxine Waters. She mentioned right before that she was on the House floor, and she left the House floor. She was going back to her office. She said from the time she left the House floor to the time she got her office, she did not see one Capitol Police. Got to her office, and I guess from her office, she could maybe think they have monitors of what's going on the House floor, so she can kind of keep abreast of the issue or whatever. And the Capitol Police were coming around, rounding up, trying to get the senators and the representatives of safety. And the Capitol Police knocked on her door, basically urging her to kind of come to, I guess, a safe place in the Capitol. And Maxine Waters said she wasn't going anywhere because she literally feared for her life. She felt that she had left that office, she would have been harmed. She possibly would have been killed. The woman that was shot at the Capitol on social media said specifically she was coming to do bodily harm to Maxine Waters. So as we watch this unfold in the Capitol, the enemy is already in the Capitol. And the police, who can you trust now in that situation? And how going forward? You're worried about, other forces coming out, but you saw the insurrection of the Capitol. If you're standing there, it's like you can't tell who's who. Yeah. And these are our lawmakers. These are our elected officials.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you respond to that, and then I'll do my next question. How did
Well,
you see those two events playing out last
well,
year?
I'm with you on on sort of just the sense of shock, right? And the sense of shock of seeing on January 6th a president instigate a violent mob to have a pre-planned assault where they're going to hurt or kill the representatives of our country, including even the vice president, and putting up a noose for the vice president. And it's just shocking. I guess one response is, in that day, well, first, a couple things. One thing is, if you watch Fox News rather than a really good news like you just put on, if you watch Fox News, you know what they do? They never show the violence. One of my friends that just to check it out was watching Fox News for some long period of time. Whenever they cut to the January 6th, they cut out the violence. They just show people strolling through the Capitol. Now some of the Republicans are saying, nothing really happened. They won't even have a investigation. They won't even vote for having an investigation when our Capitol was assaulted and disgraced. So one other thing, that I think is an interesting point on this about the police is that I think I do not want to hear any more Republicans telling me how they are the party of the police, right? Like 140 Capitol and DC Metro police were injured. One died. 17 of them are still injured and can't come back to work. And the Republicans don't even want to look at it. And going back to your comparison, let's say that was a Black Lives Matter rally and there were 140 police injured, 17, what would Fox News be running? We'd be talking about, we'd know these police by name. So my own view is we really got to take back that issue and put it on the Republicans. It's like, you have a thin blue line flag. They were using thin blue line flags to bash the police. So let's not let them have the law and order, this law and order lie that they're telling.
Right. Eric, you've shared with us a lot of information, and I share your enthusiasm. But my question is, new kid on the block, coming to Senate. How does that happen?
How do I get there?
No, I mean, once you're there.
Or once I'm there.
You have to play hard for these guys.
I think once you're there, what I'm going to do once I'm there? I'm going to listen to the advice of John Lewis. It's time for good trouble. It's time for good trouble. This is a club that has been doing nothing for too long, and I'm going to shake things up, and they won't like it. I'm not going to, someone asks you, well, don't you have to stay there for a couple terms and try to play nice to the leadership and be nice to Charles, be nice to Schumer? And no, I think it's time to shake things up and go around to people and try to say, hey, you know what? The seniority rule is ridiculous. Where else do you ever have the idea that whoever is the oldest person in the room gets to have the gavel and the power? That doesn't happen to any board of any business board that I know of. Doesn't happen to board of trustees in a university. That's not how we hire leadership of other committees. Whoever's the oldest person. So I think that's the kind of thing you need to find allies, and then we need to shake things up. So I'm going to look for opportunities to cause good trouble in the Senate because it has to get fixed. And I don't have any, I'm not like a career politician. And so I don't feel that we have to, you try to persuade people, try to get people to see that some of these rules are ridiculous, and we should take back the power to actually talk about the laws, try to come to some solutions, reduce the power of the majority leader like Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's been the majority or minority leader for 37 years. How about some term limits? How about some term limits on him?
Right. And Kentucky's one of the poorest states, and they keep reelecting them.
Yeah. Well, that's a power of the incumbency too. But I'm in favor of term limits, which you may have seen both Senator Toomey and Governor Rendell agreed that they need term limits, and that would take care of McConnell right there. Right, he's way over his term.
And okay, from the Pennsylvania Senate, how do you see helping Pennsylvania itself?
Well, that's one thing. I read a book that was about a senator named Joe Clark, who came from Philadelphia and was a Pennsylvania senator, and he's written a book called The Senate Establishment. And I think there's another book, I'm forgetting the title, that I also had read. And a lot of the job of being a senator is actually taking care of people, right? A lot of people need their federal benefits, or the check that didn't come, or they want to make an application for their kid to have a chance to go to West Point. So a lot of these services just about caring about people. And the way I grew up and the way I learned this was from my father, who was a veterinarian. And he was a small town veterinarian. And a lot of people think, well, veterinarian takes care of the cats and dogs who come in, or the cows he goes out to see. Really it's caring about the people, caring about people. And I've been a teacher for 30 years, and that's your kind of your job as a teacher too, right? You're trying to convey some education, but you also have to care about the people, and so that's a big part of the job. And I think that's what some people forget. And I think when people think about who you're going to elect for a senator, you might think about that. I think, for example, Senator Casey, you may disagree with some policy or another policy. He does a very good job of caring about people. If you need something, you call him up, and he has a very effective staff, and he sees his job as taking care of the people who elected him. So I would be the same kind of a senator if I was elected.
Right, and that's very key. And that leads to my next question about, being a senator and keeping in touch with your constituents, that communication.
Yeah.
You're in Washington, but you have your staff back here, and we elect you to kind of speak for us. But if you're not in touch with us, because the running joke is, how often do you see your senator? Once every year. When he comes, you vote for him, he disappears for 5 years, he's up for re-election, he comes back, he wants your vote again, he disappears for another 5.5 years.
Exactly. Yeah, well, look, we have one of the worst examples there is in Senator Toomey. I hate to tell you. You have Tuesday for Toomey. It's like, hey, we're coming here every Tuesday. Maybe you can show up. Like, if we're in Philadelphia, it's not that hard to get here. I'm sure you're in Philadelphia raising money somewhere, right? Why don't you come down and talk to the people? Just have a town hall or two. Zero. Right. I think the number is zero, right? So
every Tuesday, second
but Dougie, I think you gave a good example. Look, Larry Krasner was just reelected, right? So you would think he didn't have to have town halls now. But look, what's he doing? Immediately, he's going to get elected. Everyone knows he's going to win by a landslide in Philadelphia coming up, right? But he cares about people, and he's going out, and he knows there's a problem, and he's going out and finding out what people think. And I would do the same thing. I'll be doing the same thing when I'm going around the country, finding out what people want, what are their problems, what do they want me to do. That's what representation is all about. It's a two-way street. So if anyone listening out there wants me to come talk to your neighborhood, that's what I need. I need to hear from the communities.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do the same once you get in office. How do you know how to vote? How do you know what the big issues are if you don't talk to the people who sent you there?
Right. I was very fortunate. I had an internship with Senator All Inspectors, office when he was in 6th and Market, so I got a chance to kind of see behind the scenes how things work, how, he keeps in touch, how his staff basically informs him, when he comes back from Washington, that type of thing. But that's definitely, a key piece. So Eric, I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before you get into it's a question I wanted to address from Anisha Benelli, and I wanted to piggyback off of what Mr. Eric just said, like what could he do? And this is a great question. So Anisha Benelli said the alleged $1 billion that's supposed to support gun violence programs, if elected, how will you ensure that money is allocated to the right programs, and how can we measure that progress that they'll be making with those funds? Which is a great question, because we talked about that before, knowing where the money is going. When we're donating for things, when it comes to voting, and people get in there and they say, yeah, donate to this and we'll make sure you do that, blah, blah, blah. And we never know if our money is actually going where we think it's going. So I think that was a great question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and it's really an extremely good topic, which is which is gun violence and programs that are trying to address gun violence. My city council member is Jamie Gauthier, and she's really forward on this issue, right? She's like, let's get some creative programs. How can we start to address this issue? And again, the first thing you need is to get the programs established. And right now, the Republicans are stopping us from establishing gun research programs. So, for example, they passed a law where we're not allowed to research the question, right? In other words, the federal government is not allowed to give grants to then research the problem, so that you don't even then get to the problem that that was asked about, which is, well, how do you know whether the studies are good? Now, I think there are ways you can do that, right? If you have an NIH grant, it goes to University of Pennsylvania, let's say, if you change the law, and they start to study, well, what gun violence prevention programs work and what programs don't work. Let's have a study about that. Let's have a peer-reviewed research investigation of that. But we have to allow people to do that kind of research. I just saw that the University of Michigan set up a private research foundation for this, to look at gun violence, gun safety. How do we get a handle on this terrible problem that we have where, what is it? I think it's 40,000 people a year dying every year from gun violence. It's an epidemic. So I think, that's one thing. I think you free up the researchers to go in there, you do peer-reviewed studies, and you say, let's see what this program does. Does gang intervention work in this way? Does buying back guns work? Does an assault rifle ban work? Let's get the evidence and let's believe the science. Have objective peer-reviewed science. I think that's one way. Now, one other answer is about the money and where it goes. I think you have to have competent government that is tracking the money, and then they have a report of where they gave the money. And one of the roles of a Congress, including the Senate, would be to call those people in and say, well, let's see the reports. And then is there any is the money really going to where we think it's going? So sometimes you have to do an investigation. If the money is apparently, if there's a report in the paper or someone says, hey, we have a whistleblower who says, hey, the money's not going, it's going into somebody's pocket, they're not doing any research with it, then you have to investigate that. And if that's true, that's a crime. And you would, call up the district attorney or the U.S. attorney and say, hey, somebody's committing fraud here. They're not really using the money as they should be using it.
And another problem, passing gun laws, one of the things that they're always talking about is changing the gun laws. Well, in Pennsylvania, I think I did have an article where the city of Philadelphia was suing, I think, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, basically saying that they were prohibiting them to change some of the gun laws. Well, I think in the state of Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to change a gun law for a particular city. I think whatever the gun law is for the whole state. So what happens is when you look outside of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia is saying, we got a gun violence problem. The rest of the state says, yeah, you're right. Philadelphia has a gun problem. Don't come up here trying to change our gun laws. That's a problem you have down there. So every time, people from Philadelphia goes to Harrisburg, city council, state reps, try to change this, they get pushback, from the rest of the state. Because in Pennsylvania, in certain parts of Pennsylvania, they shut down schools because hunting season is over. Yeah. And they may not have that epidemic like we have here. So they're always constantly, hitting a brick wall. There was one place where a judge just ruled that he compared an AR-15 to a pocket knife.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's like there's no way an AR-15 is a pocket knife.
No.
But he was saying it gives you this, it gives you that, that type of thing. But it's a difficult thing to kind of deal with.
You know what I think that shows is I think that shows why we need federal legislation on this, because you have these states that, again, the Republicans are gerrymandering the states, so we don't have representation by majority rule in the states, and then they start passing these gun laws that tell Philadelphia what to do or Pittsburgh what to do. Mm-hmm. And I think what you need that's why you need federal gun laws. And I'll tell you one other anecdote. I mean, we see this in Philadelphia all the time, with the gun violence rising. But one problem I hear directly from my son, who recently joined the Metropolitan DC Police. And what I think, if you know police officers and you ask them, what's the problem? There's just a lot of guns on the streets. And where are all these guns coming from? A lot of them are not registered, right? Where are all the guns in Philadelphia coming from? Well, you go outside of Philadelphia and it's really easy to just go buy one in a lot of these different places, or there's a black market for them. And so I think one problem is we really have to get the guns off the streets. Yeah, and you have to get the guns out of people's. A lot of people really have no business having guns. They don't even know how to use them.
No, and it's the type of thing where it's easier to get a gun than it is a pack of cigarettes. And now the big problem now are these ghost guns, where basically the guns are in pieces. So you can't trace them. Those type of things as well. Yeah.
So those are. But it's a huge issue, and you're absolutely right to raise it as a priority, because I think that's another really big question of how do we stop the violence. Too many people have guns, and too many people should not have guns, right? They're not the kind of people who are responsible. They don't know what they're doing. They're killing people, and they think they're playing some. They just are not. They should not be having weapons, and then we have people killed who are innocent. It's such a terrible problem.
I got one question, and I'm gonna let Andrea wrap up. Is that okay, Andrea?
Yes, I have a couple things to piggyback off of. No, Doc, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do your comments, but I'm going to say this because our Facebook friends cannot see the YouTube comments. So pardon my eyeballs blanking and my language changing. I just got real. I don't know what part of the country I was from in that moment, but I went back to my ancestors. Go ahead, Doc. I'm going to address it respectfully.
Okay.
Oh no! Did I move you, Doc? Hold on, Doc. That was my.
Okay. Eric, what's your take on this? And I think there's two questions. What's your take on defunding the police, which is really a bad word, but just basically, I think they mean reallocating funds for the police. And
my questions.
and the other question is, do you think more police is the answer?
Ooh, nice question.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right about the terminology. Like, we know a lot now that the Republicans, what Republicans do is they have a lot of smart media people, and they look for a term that somebody uses in a protest movement, or that they think, oh, we can use that against them, right?
Right.
And now we know that the study showed that the Republicans use the defund the police in a misleading way that said, hey, all these Democrats want to take away the police. They want to defund the police. And the context in which we were having a discussion in Philadelphia, for example, and many other cities, was lost. And the Republicans turned that into something that it wasn't, right? So I think you're right to call out, let's discuss the problem here, right? There's police violence. The police are not being supervised sufficiently. There are some problems in police unions that are allowing people to go free, where they're defending people who have committed crimes. In other words, police officers who commit crimes, and then the unions are defending them. These are problems that we really have to solve. I mean, as I mentioned, my son, I was surprised he went to Georgetown as an undergraduate. Grew up in Philly, in West Philly, where we live, and he felt that his best avenue to joining to give back in public service and to use his skills was to join the DC Metro Police. And my own view in seeing him go through that process is that the DC Metro Police has it going pretty well. They're majority minority force, so they're majority black force. He's a minority. He is well trained, although you could also think about that, right? So his training is nothing like a Navy SEAL training, right? So we also should look at how well are some of the police officers selected, how well are they trained, And some of those issues, I think, would put me in the camp of what Joe Biden said when he was running, and they said, "Hey, are you for defunding the police?" He said, "No, I'm for funding the police because we need more community policing. We need more training. We need more training for police for diversity and equity and anti-bias training." So a lot of it to me is getting into the details of what we need. And I also agree that we need to, so some things that we don't need is military spending for the police, right? Why are they militarized?
Right.
Like that doesn't bring people to the community. That doesn't connect anyone to the problems that people have. But I also think on the other side, just talking to my son about his daily life, that there is some people may disagree with me about this, but I don't think the police are the enemy. Almost all of the time when I'm talking to my son, they're out helping people. They're called into emergency situations. He's seen more death and serious injury in his, I think, 2 months on the streets now as a regular officer than I've seen in my whole life. Right. And they're saving lives and they're helping people and they're dealing with domestic disputes, So I think in that respect, we need to think about reimagining how we police. We need to have better community policing. I think Krasner's on the right track where we look at what's the right relationship between the prosecutors, police, and how they're interacting. So I think that's I hope that's an answer to your question, but I think we need to get into the details of that. One last thing is, I think sometimes the culture of police departments, going back to George Floyd, your comments about that, sometimes the culture of police departments becomes wrong, becomes racist. And then I think you have to have what Biden is doing, and I really like his appointments in the civil and the attorney generals and the Department of Justice, where you have to go in and say, okay, Minneapolis police, this is not just one person who happened to be caught on videotape killing someone. This is your whole department. To even allow this to happen, there's something seriously wrong in this whole department that we have to come in and we have to shake this up and say, we got to get rid of this structure. There's a serious cultural problem in your department. And it might be the case in Philadelphia, right? You have these guys, some of these, you have a lot of cops who were obviously racist and obviously and posting this white supremacist stuff on Facebook and everything. Those guys, they don't deserve to be on the street.
Right.
So why is a police union defending people who are overt racists who have a gun and are supposed to be protecting us and protecting citizens? They have no business being police officers.
And we always say that all cops aren't bad, but there has to be something also where good cops are protected in basically calling out these bad cops, because it's that thin blue line where they just don't talk. Just like in the street, you don't snitch. You know what's wrong. You know this happened, but lips are sealed. You're not doing anything about that. In New York, recently we talked about more police. They took a poll. 70% of New Yorkers would love to have more police, and I'm not necessarily sure that's the answer.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and I think a lot of it is in the details, like what kind of police are you talking about? What are you trying to solve? What kind of problem are you trying to solve? Like probably there should be more psychologists. If they're let's say they could be police officers, but basically they're trained psychologists to deal with people who are having mental health problems, because that's a lot of these issues, right? A lot of the calls. So I could, so you can imagine cases where we need more of a particular kind of police officer rather than just let's have more police or not more police. Right. It seems like if we have more police and there's more racist police, then that's bad. But if we have more police who are actually going to help be part of the community, coming from the community, are going to be expected to do different things, maybe that's good.
I personally think that when people call 911, that they should have to ask, does this person have a mental issue? do you know of this person having a mental issue? No.
And it was interesting. I heard my son. I'm learning a lot from him. Just like his,
Awesome.
what they have in DC, and I don't know if they have this in Philly or other cities, is they will have a record. And so let's say they call someone in, they'll have a record that this was a house. The call is to a place where someone has a mental disturbance problem, and then there will be certain officers who get called into that.
Right. The right.
Only the ones that are trained to deal with that. Right. You don't send in somebody without the training.
Right, but I think they should. Everybody should get that particular training, just in case somebody.
I agree with you.
Like it's always, everybody needs to know everyone's job. So it is 10:15. So I did want to piggyback off of something that you said, and then we're going to close that part out. And I'm going to address a few things and a few comments, but I'm going to let you go first before I address those things, because one thing we do not do is disrespect. So I will address that on my own time. But I did want to piggyback off of something that you said about like where are the guns coming from. And I had a very interesting conversation with one of my friends, and that was something that she said. And this was an awesome debate that we were having. And I said to her, you're absolutely right. Because she said, my grandmother said that we don't own ships and we don't own this, that. I said, that's right. That's right. And she's like, well, so where did the guns and things coming from? I said, you're absolutely right. But this is the part that nobody wants to talk about. I don't care if the person bring the guns over, put the crate in front of you, open up the crate and put the bullets inside the gun and hand it to you. Once that gun is in your hand, did that person pull the trigger? No. So you are the blame. Like, stop, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we want to point the finger at everybody else, but whose finger was on the trigger? Like, come on. Let's do that. Let's take that responsibility, people, because that's the part that we don't want to address. That's the uncomfortable part, that your son, your cousin, your uncle, I don't care where they got the gun from, they are making the decision to pull the trigger and end the life. And that's just it. So with that being said, of course, I got this fancy little gadget. So everybody, please give Mr. Eric Ortz a round of applause for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
We thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Thank everybody for their positive comments in the comments. I hope your questions were answered. And again, guys, Mr. Eric is not saying that he is running, because some of the comments I didn't even address, because you're asking him as if he is the politician. He is not. He's a professor. Okay. He's thinking about running.
It could be soon. So go to friendsofericortz.com and you'll see when the time comes. You'll be the first to know.
Yes.
But thanks a lot for that clarification.
Yes, it's going across the bottom of the screen, just in case, and just look out for him. And that's what Doc and I talk about, just knowing who's running, just knowing who your state reps are, and y'all had a chance to meet one. So when it's time to vote and y'all see Eric Ortz, you be like, you know what, he was on Philly Unfiltered. Okay. You know what I mean? And that's serious. Like, we know what you're about. We're trying to get Mr. Jordan Harris on here. So, and I used to work with you, Mr. Harris. But that's another story. But Mr. Ortz, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
And we thank you and we love you guys. I hope y'all give him a round of applause from home. And you're always welcome to come back and to have more uncomfortable conversations.
Eric, keep us abreast of your progress. Keep us abreast of your progress. Let you know how you're doing, what you're doing. If you got any Zoom calls coming up, let me know. I'll come. Participate as a man.
I'll let you know, and I'll come back on. Anytime you want to invite me back once we get going. So thanks a lot.
And if you're hiring people that want to start some good trouble, let us know.
Yes.
It could be possible. We're looking at a campaign manager right now, so it's going to be her job to decide that, but we're getting going.
Yeah.
All right.
Todd Hart said, good job.
Oh, Todd. Yeah. Good to see you, Todd. Thank you, Todd. Todd's one of my early guys. I think that's how we were introduced, right, Ducky?
Awesome.
So thank you, Todd.
That's how I found out about Eric.
You're welcome to come too, Mr. Todd. You can come back on the show too. We love to speak to you. But again, we're going to let you go because I want to. Please, and people that's watching, please don't leave because I'm about to address some things. But Mr. Eric, thank you. And we'll talk to you very soon. Good night.
Have a good night, sir. Get some rest.
Okay, guys, so here we go. Doc, that was great. Great
Yeah.
interview. Thank you, Mr. Eric Ortz, for coming. So let's get to the meat and potatoes because Doc say he tired and he ready to go, and I want him to go. So guys, again, if y'all can't see the comments coming in from YouTube, so if you want to see all of the comments, I invite you to go to YouTube. Let me put the page at the bottom. It's like YouTube. Okay, take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. That's not it. There it is. There it is. Philly Unfiltered 215 on YouTube. So guys, listen. And sir, I hope that you're still here because I know that I said this in the beginning that we do everything respectfully. And my Facebook family knows exactly who I am, and I'm Miss Philly Unfiltered for a reason. And I do it respectfully. So this one is for you, good sir. You have some very valid points in your comments that I had made mention about in the beginning. And I want to address a few of these things because I want my Facebook family to know, that people is watching, they watching the show, and we thank you, and we love you for coming. So this comment here. It says you won through scamming us. So that comment was brought about when we were talking about the orange man, because we don't say his name here.
Right.
We scammed y'all. What?
Nah, that didn't happen.
What? We scammed y'all how, bro?
We're bringing you information you can use.
Where? You can use resources and gems that you can drop and seeds that you can plant. But I want you to go back and do your research if we talking about fraud and scamming. We're not going to do that. This one here had me laughing, Doc. He said to celebrate Christopher Columbus as a murderer, so I celebrate OJ. You cannot control who black people heroes is. Now we can play that game too. See, one thing about this guy is I'm on the fence with you, bro. I'm absolutely on the fence with you, but I respect your opinions and but this one I will not stand. Doc, he said something about Uncle Obama.
Okay.
We're gonna put it up here because that's giving you too much time in spotlight, and we only spotlight positivity.
Absolutely.
Not negativity. So I gave you your 2 minutes to shine, good sir. So thank you for coming to the show. And again, if you want to return, we do everything here respectfully. And respectfully, you don't want it with me. I like to play with words. I like to play with words with friends. And not come with the resources and the information. So, sir, and respectfully, I think, and I respect all of your opinions. You had some very, very valid points. That's why I didn't block you. You know what I mean? But I want you to show some respect, please, because I also saw that you're part of the community, and we have nothing but the utmost respect for the community. So if we're asking everyone to show you respect, then when you come in our house, you take off your hat and you have a seat. That means show respect. I'm an 80s baby, sir. So again, I'm not going to block you. And I see your comments. I'm not going to. Hey, Miss Sue, thank you. We try to keep it very real and very truthful and very respectful. Very respectful. We have been doing this. We're about to go into our 3rd season.
Right.
Good, sir. We're not new to this. We true to this. And everybody that comes on here will have respect shown to them. We want respect for everybody. He's going on about Asians and all that. We want respect for everybody. But here our focus is on black people. I'm black. I'm not Asian. I'm black. I'm African American. I'm Andrea. That's what we're focusing on. We're not leaving out anyone, but that is our main focus. And everybody that comes with it, even your community. We focus on you guys too. We want to protect you guys too, because you have a right, you have a voice, and you have an opinion. But keep your opinions respectful. Okay, thank you for coming out. Love you guys. Again, so I'm not giving him no more time. That was enough. So, guys, thank y'all for coming. Like, Doc, that was a great show. You always had like the dopest people, like, no professors out in Vegas. He be in the, Florida, MIA. Doc, you just bomb.com. And I love you for that. I wouldn't have anybody else as my co-host. And guys, again, if y'all miss anything, if y'all missed the spirit check, we hope that your spirits were changed for the better if it came on a negative note. Also, I hope you guys caught all of these awesome events that's coming up in June and July and August, because our community superheroes, they be out here doing it real big. Okay. So we don't even have to give y'all the names, but y'all know their names. Check out Philly Unfiltered for all of these flyers. Again, guys, June, we're going to finish out season 2, and then we're going to take July off. And when we come back, we're doing season 3. We still around. We back and we black, we brown and we around, but we're probably going to be more into community events.
Right.
So
we'll be out there.
Yeah, y'all see us out there, and we might be doing interviews, you know what I mean, from there, but we won't be doing our lives on Tuesday and Thursdays. We're going to focus more on, you guys and our own projects. Y'all know I got the nonprofit out there, got the candy store popping. I'm about to invest in a heat press. I'm about to get these t-shirts popping, Doc. We about to get this logo popping, y'all. When we come back,
get this merch.
Yes, we about to have this merch. When we come back, Really Unfiltered, we are doing so many big things, and because we've met so many awesome people, and we want to keep this networking thing going. Okay, we are so stronger in numbers, guys. So again, we thank y'all for coming. We love y'all so much. Yes, we love you too, Anisha. You always here to support. Shout out to you, Queen. You always here. Miss Mecca G, shout out to you for coming through. Bars, Mr. Hart, thank you for coming and showing your support to Mr. Eric Ortz. We love the support, even if you came towards the end. Any type of support is great support. I hope you guys share this video, this live. If you didn't see all of it, please, that was the wrong one. Please catch it on the replay. So that's that about it, y'all. Okay, guys, on Tuesday again. Really quick before we go, Tuesday, and I'll put this flyer out here because we did do the Father's Day nominations, and I have 3. So we are going to contact the dads that have been nominated on Tuesday, and we are going to possibly have the dads on Thursday. We will present them with their Father's Day of the month gift from Millennium Candy and Gifts. We're giving them a whole 15-minute spotlight, shout out, interview, whatever they want to do, song of their choice. We're doing it for the dads, for the kings. Y'all need recognition. So stay tuned for that, guys. And again, I'm just going to finish this song out that we started with. We hope y'all enjoyed this show. I got to come out my events. There we go. Boom. We hope you guys enjoyed this show, and we will be back with an awesome another one next week. So let me go back. I don't want to play no commercials. Facebook always trying to get me. So guys, we thank y'all. We love y'all. See y'all soon.
Oh, beautiful, our heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refine.